River Bridge. As you know, a truck, very big truck, carrying crushed rocks, about a total of over 100 tons, was placed on a bridge that shouldn't take more than 50 tons. And it crushed the first 110 feet of the bridge. That truck has been over there for about 3 months. The main point is, how do we get the truck off the bridge? You need a crane to be able to do that. And the first company we talked to try to get the crane, at the last minute the company decided to pull out. We reached out to UNMIL through the office of the president to see if UNMIL would use their crane. UNMIL sent their engineers to the site. Having looked at the site, they came back and said that for safety reasons, because between Monrovia, from Buchanan up to the Cestus River Bridge, there are other bridges along the road. And so they said for safety reasons, they're not going to be able to take their crane out there. So now we're negotiating with the third and final person who has a crane. I was just on the phone with the PBCC because this person who owns the crane, even though it's a registered company here in the country, it has not finished its PBCC vendor registration. So I was trying to work with the PBCC to see how we'll be able to do it, because the road to the southeast has been cut for a while now. And as the rains come, the waters will continue to rise, and the waters are very fast in that area. So we're doing everything we can to have it done. We have, working with UNMIL, we have the bridge components that are needed. These components have been taken to the bridge already. We have our people there waiting to be able to do it. So once we can get the truck off the bridge, we'll be able to de-launch the 110 feet and then relaunch the bridge. Between Ganta and Zwedru, as you know, every rainy season that road cuts. Sometimes last year, over 200 vehicles were stuck for over 3 weeks at one point. So this year we have a contractor on the road. The instructions given to the contractor first is to fix the critical spots. Those are the places that are always the places that always deteriorate during the rains, but also to remain on the road so that if something happens and a car gets stuck, we'll be able to move the car. So hopefully this year, the road from Ganta up to Zwedru, there will not be as much issues as there usually are during the rainy season. We also work with the AFL. We made a transfer to the AFL to do interventions on critical spots between Banga and Voinjama. Now, between Vahum and Kolahum, there is a broken box culvert. Now, again, we try to get, because it's a rainy season, to try to be able to get a contractor who could do it. There are 2 contractors who are mobilized currently there in Vahum to be able to do it. Unfortunately for us, both of those contractors have not completed the PBCC vendor registry, making it difficult for us to be able to give them contracts. So there's risk that the road leading to Vahum might cut. Again, we're working with the PBCC and working with the contractors. We try to tell the contractors, you can't wait until you have an opportunity to get a contract before you get registered. Every time your registration expires, you have to get registered. And the PBCC thing has been going on for over a year. We're very excited about what's happening at the Ministry of Public Works. I came here and I've been around explaining to people that since Todmontanza early, Charlie King time, we have paved our roads in Liberia using 2 methods, concrete or asphalt. Concrete, very expensive. Asphalt is also expensive. Currently in Liberia, if you do an assessment and analysis of how much we pay in Liberia per kilometer of road compared to Sierra Leone, compared to Guinea, we pay more money than our counterparts do. So when we came to the Ministry of Public Works, we decided we wanted to explore the possibility, is there another way of paving our roads other than concrete and asphalt? But to find a way that will keep the roads paved, but that will also be significantly cheaper. So first, we ordered this product from South Africa. It's called Con8. It comes in small blue containers that you take a truck, the big water truck, you empty the container of the material in it, mix it, and then when we're digging up the road, scarifying the road, the truck goes over and sprays the road that has been dug up with this mixture. It's then compacted. It reduces the dust by about 70%, and it makes the road very, very hard, so that during the rainy season, water doesn't stay on the road, the water goes off the road. We tested it on Keseli Boulevard. Now we've been going back to every 3 months, go back to be able to test it. But we're actually waiting to see at the end of the rainy season to see how it holds up. The tests that we have been going to check is very, very promising. One of the places where we're seeing failure with it is the first 400 meters of the road on Cancellation Boulevard. That is because when we started to apply it, that part of the road was already done and we only sprayed it on top. Now the rest of the road, where we actually dug up the road and mix it with that stuff, if you go on Cancellation Boulevard now, even after the rains, you see the road still looks good. So at the end of the rainy season, if we can certify that if you treat dirt roads with this material, it keeps the road passable, then all of our dirt roads will be treated with that. We're very excited about that. Now, concrete, asphalt, those are called seals. Because basically you build the road and then you seal the top of the road so that when it's raining or when there's dust, it doesn't erode the surface of the road. It turns out there are over 12 different kinds of seals around the world. Some of them almost 40%, 60% cheaper than asphalt. And my question is, why aren't we testing these in Liberia? So we're working with USAID. USAID has a program that will be doing a deck study of 12 of these seals. Then we will actually test 5 of them on roads in Liberia, and we'll pick 3 that we'll be able to use. So next time, if the Ministry of Public Works wants to pave the road, say from here, from Grovier to Bobolu, we look at the traffic volume, we look at the number of people living there and think to ourselves, look, it doesn't make sense to pave this road with asphalt right now. Let's use another seal that is cheaper, that keeps the road open, but that allows us in 10 years, if the traffic volume increases, we can always go back and do surfacing. So we're excited about that. One of the tests that we're going to be using, we pick Drivers Market through Johnsonville to Mount Barkley. It's 11 kilometers. Let's use this road. Let's test this seal on this road and see if it works. For several reasons. One, a lot of big trucks use that road. So you want to be able to test this new seal to see if it can, the weight bearing capacity, if it can actually carry the heavy load. So that's one. Two, between now and 2018, the Japanese will be on Somalia Drive, and because of that, a lot of people will be using that bypass. So there's the traffic volume, you'll be able to test it. And then Monrovia receives some of the highest rainfall in the country. So you'll be able to test it for the weather, for the volume, for the weight. We're very excited about that, but we also wrote down to say, look, on this road, we want to assign about 5 or 8 of our young engineers so that they can go through the entire road construction project when it comes from profiling the road, designing the road, construction supervision, quality assurance, so that when this program is finished, USAID leaves, there will still be expertise in the country with our young engineers who can profile roads and build roads. So we're very excited about that. The second thing we've done is right now we're expanding the soils and material testing lab at the Ministry of Public Works. Why? All of these tests that I'm talking about, for them to be able to work, you have to go and be able to take the soil, test the soil, know its quality, know its characteristics to determine what material will work on that soil. We have young students coming back with degrees, advanced degrees in materials engineering. So yesterday, I was meeting with the EU. What I'm asking them is, look, don't give us the money. We want you to hire, give us technical assistance. Send somebody who's trained, who has run a materials testing lab before, so that they can help us to be able to set up our own lab. So we're excited about that, and that's something that we're trying to do. The final stretch of road, or dusty road, on which we want to have a maintenance contract, I was meeting with the EU yesterday too, is from Buchanan to Cester City. Now anybody who has been to Cester City before, you know that it's one of the counties, one of the county capitals that has actually been left behind. I am not even aware if there's a kilometer of paved road in Cester City. So we talked to the EU that the money that's left on the other maintenance projects, for us to be able to apply it from Buchanan to Cester City, so that we can put a contractor on the road in a maintenance plan for 3 years to be able to do that. Under the EU, we also have a maintenance plan now from St. Paul Bridge to Bowatersa. We have a contractor on that road for the next 3 years. Anything that happens to the road, side brushing, patching, we'll be able to do that. We have a contractor from SD Cooper Road all the way to the airport, and from the airport to Buchanan. 5-year contract for maintenance on that. And that's what we're trying to do. That all of the roads in the country should be under long-term maintenance contracts instead of going year after year. This allows us to keep the country passive, keep the roads passable, keep the whole country accessible. Now, all of these exciting things that we're doing at the Ministry of Public Works, of course, none of them are reported in the news. The only thing that comes in the news is this perception supposedly of a Ministry of Public Works so rife in corruption, and it's difficult that every 2 months or every month or so you have to come back to try to explain that some frivolous, ridiculous claims that somebody made has to be justified. Right now in Liberia, there is no distinction between a credible media house and a gossip column. That anybody can write anything, whether it's on Facebook or get on the radio and make any claim, all of a sudden, that claim becomes credible. And look, I understand that almost every day, when you open the newspaper or you turn on the radio, there are allegations of, but these things are working, right? Yes. There are allegations of corruption. And so because of that, the public has this reflexive suspicion. But I believe that some of us have earned the benefit of the doubt. A few weeks ago, we concluded a procurement process on the Japanese project at the airport, from ELW Junction to Marshall. We broke that entire community into 4 lots. We wrote the PPCC and asked the PPCC for permission to do procurement under SBA. Why? By doing procurement under SBA, it meant that only Liberian companies would be able to bid. So it worked. PPCC agreed. We put out the bid. When the bid finished, we established 4 separate bid evaluation committees. Now people, every single person who has read the PPCC Act knows that the people who sit on the procurement committee cannot evaluate bids. I am not sitting on the bid evaluation panel because as head of the committee, I chair the procurement committee. The four committees came back with their results. 2 of those bids, 1 and 3, were won by a company called B&N. We were told B&N is owned by a female. We're excited because in construction, you don't have a lot of females. Later, one of the people who did the bid evaluation said, Minister, why these bids were won on merit by B&N, I should alert you to a possible conflict of interest. I said, what is it? He said, well, B&N is owned by Mrs. Barbara Ogunti. And Mrs. Barbara Ogunti happens to be the mother of the Chief of Staff. The next day, I called a one item emergency procurement meeting. Gentlemen, because this information was not disclosed at the beginning, there is the potential of that my Chief of Staff doesn't have anything to do with procurement. The mere fact that she is my Chief of Staff and this information was not, it would be difficult to convince the other competitors that this lady did not get undue or unfair advantage. On account of that, we will cancel this bid, we will write the PPCC and retender. I did this, wrote the lady, wrote the PPCC. I didn't come on radio to announce it because that's not how you run institutions. After you make a decision on that, what am I supposed to do? Jump on the radio and say, oh, yesterday I canceled bid. What is that? We make decisions every day. The next week, on Tuesday, it appears on a radio show that this lady, a company that was started overnight. Ladies and gentlemen, nobody can receive a PPCC contract or a government of Liberia contract if you're not in the PPCC registry. It will take you 2 minutes to type in a company's name on PPCC website. You will see that this woman's company was established in 2008. 2008, I was beginning the 2nd year of my graduate education. How was I supposed to know in 2008 I was going to be public works minister to tell a woman in 2008, go form company so I can get you contract? What kind of nonsense is this? The first certificate to do works between $500,000 to $1 million that was given to this woman was given to her in 2011. Now everybody in this room knows, in 2011 I was in the president's office. I doubt the president even knew in 2011 that in 2015 she would make me Minister of Public Works. How could I have told the woman to form a company then? But when these claims are made, nobody does any checking. And the next thing you know, it appears in the newspaper. And people's credibility put on the line for frivolous, complete nonsense. What was I supposed to do? I canceled the bid. I informed the PPCC that I would retender the bid. And yet, I'm supposedly giving contract to a woman who started the company overnight. Yesterday, while I was in a conversation with the EU, to get money on the road between Buchanan and Cestus, to get a technical person to come and run our soils and materials testing lab, I had to answer to the fact again, supposedly a deputy minister at the Ministry of Public Works has $65,000 in his car. It's like the corruption so much at the Ministry of Public Works, money just all over the place. People putting $65,000 in the car. What is this? The car is owned by the Assistant Minister for Administration, who went to the Cinco branch of IB and took out 60,000 Liberian dollars from his salary, put it in the glove compartment of his vehicle. He went to the meeting at the foreign ministry and they took his car to go fix it. They had to buy a part across the bridge. His sister has a child who's graduating from kindergarten and came to him to ask for help. So he called another driver and said, go to the car, give my sister $5,000. They went to the car, took $5,000, gave it to his sister, she went to Grover. Somehow, that 60,000 LD out in the car, that anybody here can go to him to ask for the withdrawal slip, and he can show it to them, became 65,000, and somehow the Minister of Public Works has to stand here and explain that we didn't have, what is 65,000 supposed to come from? People making these ridiculous claims about mismanagement at the Ministry of Public Works. I was given $23 million in ongoing works. Conduct an audit of how those monies were used. Everybody knows, simply because the budget says 23 million, finance doesn't give you a sack full of money, 23 million, and bring it to public works for you to use it the way you want to use it. Here's what's happening. When we came to the Ministry of Public Works, more than $100 million worth of contracts have been awarded by single source. More than $100 million, about $103 million worth of contracts have been awarded by the single source method of procurement. And you know, when you do single source method of procurement, it means the ministry negotiates with one contractor. When we came to the Ministry of Public Works, we decided, you know what, unless absolutely necessary, we will not. Every contract we award at the Ministry of Public Works should go to competitive bid, and that's what we've done. We have not awarded a single road work contract by single source. 1. 2. About $36 million of those contracts that were awarded at notices to proceed, where the Ministry of Public Works writes a letter to a contractor and say, we're issuing you a notice to proceed, start doing the work. Now, it means that the contractors did not always go through a competitive bid for them to be able to win. We are imposing that. Third, in the past, when Ministry of Public Works puts out a bid, the engineer's estimate of what the road will cost will remain hidden in-house. Few people will have that information. So contractors will be going in and out of people's offices trying to get information. We decided, we wrote the PPCC and said, we don't want to do this anymore. If the engineer's estimate is $750,000, we'll put it out, say, between $700,000 to $800,000, so that everybody will have an idea of what the road costs. 1. 2. But if contractors want to know the exact number, click on our procurement plan on the PPCC website, which is published. Ladies and gentlemen, somebody who wants to go ahead stealing money doesn't impose new rules reducing discretion. The intent is to paint everybody with a broad brush. We have done everything within our power to improve the system so that everybody will have confidence in the system. Mrs. Ogonti wrote me and then wrote the PPCC complaining of unfair treatment in me cancelling the contract. When she wrote me to reconsider the decision, I wrote her back and said, look, I appreciate it. I appreciate the circumstances, but the decision stands as it is. The PPCC will conduct an investigation. If the PPCC reverses my decision, obviously I'm not going to fight the PPCC. They have the final word on procurement. Every single time the Ministry of Public Works has appeared in the news has been at the end of a procurement process. If there are 4 lots and we invite 18 companies, only 4 can win, people. 14 of them will be upset. And there are contractors in this town who every time they lose a bid, they go to media people make it seem as if somebody cheated them. That's why they lost the bid. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how it works. A lot of the Liberian companies, I had to conduct a workshop on Monday on bid submission. You know, we do the bid submission in 3 phases. There's the preliminary. Does he have tax clearance? Is he registered with PPCC? Does he have a business registration? Is the tax clearance current? If you miss one of these documents, you don't go to the next stage. And many times, Liberian businesses, Liberian companies will submit bids that are incompetent, that are missing things. And I will tell you the truth, when the Chinese companies bid, they don't make those kinds of elementary mistakes. What am I supposed to do in the end? If the Liberian company doesn't make it to this stage, should I reverse it so simply you can give Liberian company business? I will tell you, I have done it before, it didn't work. Between Vamoma House and SD Cooper Road, we wanted to do sidewalks. We said only Liberian companies can bid, or Liberian company bid. They didn't submit 3 documents. Only they put NC, NC, non-compliant, non-compliant. But we decided, you know what, we know the men. The Liberian men make him do the work. So, gave him a bid, around $1.something billion. We invited him for negotiation. Then we wrote the PPCC with the intent to award. PPCC called us back and said, look, send us all the documents. What was the criteria? Let's see the bid evaluation. When PPCC looked at the bid evaluation, they said, look, based on your own criteria, the men didn't win. Cancel it. We had to write him back and cancel it. What were we supposed to do? Look, this comes at a cost. If every single day in the news, in the newspapers and on radio, the conversation is about a Ministry of Public Works that is so corrupt, then our partners are going to find it very, very difficult to continue to put money in the ministry because they don't want their money to be misused. I am saying this. I expect as a public figure that people will say things about me and people will come after me. That's okay. But there's a lady who works at the Ministry of Public Works, Jacqueline Merchant. This is somebody who and I happened to share a classroom when we lived in a refugee camp in Tabu. And somehow it becomes an evidence of my mismanagement that she happens to be working at the Ministry of Public Works. Is Toba Yeshua deputy minister because of me too? Because me and he sat in the same class in refugee camp. There's 654 people working at the Ministry of Public Works. People simply go around trying to create this impression to destroy other people's reputations for no reason. We're doing an amazing job at the Ministry of Public Works. Don't take my word for it. Go there and ask. We have put our internal audit division on our procurement process now. I do not sign any contracts that do not go to internal audit for them to check to see all of the processes were correct, put a clearing memo before it comes to the minister's office for me to sign. Somebody who's looking to steal money does not do that. Every single recommendation from the GAC, we implemented them. But we didn't stop there after we implemented it. I wrote the GAC to say we have implemented your recommendations. I want you to come to the Ministry of Public Works and test our systems. Somebody who's looking to steal and turn a ministry into a place to steal doesn't do that. I want you in confidence. Ask the contractors, when was the last time you gave Gyude Moore money? Or when was the last, how much did Gyude Moore charge you to do favors for you? And not only the contractors in this country. Ask Delta when we work with them. Ask Lockheed Martin when we work with them, BAM International, the international companies that have come. We have conducted ourselves with decency and integrity. And if anybody has proof to the contrary, bring it up. If anybody can prove that that lady working at the Ministry of Public Works, Jacqueline Merchant, makes $3,000, some consultant abroad making $3,000, I will resign. I'm tired of this nonsense. There has to be a place where it stops. Why am I here doing this? Instead of giving you an update on what the Ministry of Public Works is doing, I have to defend myself against frivolous, unsubstantiated, inane claims.
This audit report from the Ministry of, from the GAC, it states that Auditor General's report on the audit of the Community Infrastructure Development Project, Ministry of Public Works, for the period May 2013 to January 2016, released March 2016. Are you aware of this report?
Absolutely.
Now, in this report, millions seems to be missing. Millions seems to be missing from this report, from this audit report. is telling us that million is missing.
Read that portion, please.
Go through the report.
No.
During the conduct of the audit, that the CIDP management of the PNW did not remit into government of Liberia revenue account the amount of US $30,764,000 United States dollars and 80 cents, representing tax withheld from various vendors for the procurement of goods and services and works. 1.
Sir,
the issue is, this report is cataloged by portion.
Go to the one that says
first issue. No, give me time. You're not the I will ask you the question. Is this a voluminous document? And I'm just quoting a piece and piece.
That's a pamphlet.
Now, the report is saying, the report also says, the project worth $5,600,000 United States dollars and was approved on February 20, 2013 with an implementation. $2,247,600 United States dollars. In this United States dollars account number 001 USD 2322730, the account number. And this report is telling us that the amount here is unaccounted for by the Public Works Ministry.
Read the portion where it says it's unaccounted for. Read it. In your hand. Read it.
When GSC released reports, what the report is about flaws, irregularities. And there are certain portions of this report. I said I will not quote it, I quoted the portion. The report is saying millions gone missing. And I will give you the quotation of the million one. Alright, that's what you're afraid. You want me to take the whole thing and take the whole thing. My issue is to shut the question.
Yes.
You have to shut the question. Right. Except you want to take the mark. You have to shut the question. The minister said, because when I got here, the minister never alluded to any error at the Ministry of Public Works under his administration. And in this, when you look at it, it says, who are in charge? They said the key personnel in charge of frauds and errors is name Gyude Moore, Minister of Public Works, 2014 to present. Anthony J. Witt, Minister of Public Works, 2013-2014. Samuel Kofi Woods, Minister of Public Works, 2009-2013. Fred B. Smith, Acting Minister, 2013-2014. Roland Gaddings, Deputy Minister. These are the names of individuals.
Okay. So let ask the question.
Yeah, the question is, because he's saying that he's not aware and the media is lying, there is no quote-unquote corruption at the ministry. If there is no quote-unquote corruption that I ask, you are aware of this document. Is this document speaking to procurement fraud and corruption at the Public Works Ministry?
I want every single person to have a copy of that report. Somebody stands up and says the ministry can account for millions. List the place in the document where you say, if this was the question you had on your mind to come to the press conference, wouldn't you mark it? It would be the first place you would read from. Yes, what happened? The 30,000. Every time the ministry writes a check, they're supposed to be withholding. And we arrive at the ministry, and the withholding taxes, sometimes it will be $5, sometimes it will be $7, sometimes it will be $1, sometimes it will be $8, small amounts. Over time of all the checks that I've done, it amounted to almost 30,000. When we came in, every single check that has been signed since Gyude Moore became Minister of Public Works, under that check, you will see the withholding taxes. We pay withholding taxes. 1. 2, the CIDP project. And like I said, every single thing I'm saying here is verifiable. And I want the people in this room to go and read it. Somebody takes a document as if I'm some sort of uneducated person and waving a document. First of all, voluminous. If you've seen an encyclopedia, that's what it means by voluminous. Or you wave a pamphlet and you say it's a voluminous document, so you can't point to the specific place where there was mismanagement. Here's what happened with this CIDP. The Ministry of Public Works, 1, took $59,000 out of that CIDP money and paid for people who are going on wash. That money still hasn't been repaid. I've spoken to my deputy for administration. We have to, and that was done when I wasn't Minister of Public Works. As Minister of Public Works, I have to answer for the ministry. I don't have to make a distinction between, oh, this was when Kofi Woods was here, when Anthony Weeks was here. The Ministry of Public Works took $600,000 out of that money to pay for rock pavement on Somalia Drive. That money was replaced. Minister Weeks and her team were going for 26 celebration. There was no money. They took money out of the CIDP account. It was replaced. The GSC highlighted those as risks. When money is set for this process, you can take the money and be applying it to different projects. Of course that is a risk. But those monies were replaced. You stand up to read and say that they say millions of dollars is unaccounted for and you can't find a place in the document. I want you, don't take his word for it because it appears like reading gives him a hard time. You read it and see if you come to the same conclusion that he did. This document is public document, it's available. People walk around waving that document or something. These are the kinds of things that pass for journalism. If you have a problem reading other documents, then take classes in it. I'm asking you, every single person here today, get a copy of that document and ask my interpretation of the audit and his interpretation of the audit who is correct. But if they may print a story tomorrow, I will have to come here and come to answer for it. When in front of everybody you claim on your way here you listened to me. And in listening to me you wanted to be a part because you had this audit report and you didn't think to mark the place where the GSC says $2 million unaccounted for. On this, about $978,000 of that money was for the consultant. Under Kofi Woods, the program that was approved by the Japanese was for the Ministry of Public Works to hire a consultant to do three things. One, master planning of ELWA to Marshall. Two, the design of all parallel and perpendicular roads to the highway. Three, construction supervision. When Anthony Weeks became Minister of Public Works stopped doing what had been approved under Minister Woods, and Public Works itself started to do the project. When I came, I was briefed. I wrote the PPCC and said, the procurement process was finished. I want to go back to what was approved by the Japanese under Minister Woods. PPCC wrote me and gave me guidance and said, if the three companies that submitted bids, if the bids are still valid, go with it. And using the PPCC guidance, we awarded the company to a consortium of 3 firms, 1 Liberian firm and 2 American firms. Go and find the outcomes that came from it. Ladies and gentlemen, I didn't come here to talk about my perfection. I didn't come here to talk about, I want you to understand that there are people in this government, people in public service who conduct themselves with integrity. And everything I have said here is verifiable. I want you to do your own check on it and don't take anybody's word for it. Don't take mine, don't take his. Since we've been at the Ministry of Public Works, we have done everything within our power to improve the systems so that you, the public, and the contractors and everybody who does business with the Ministry of Public Works can benefit from it. Get a copy of the document. If it gives you a hard time to get a copy of the document, I will leave instructions for the Ministry of Public Works to make copies of it and give it to any journalist who comes. Then make your own judgment on it.
We take the last.
Public Works, that is the privilege I have been granted. It's a privilege that I take seriously in terms of how I conduct myself. I have been here on the radio making claims that can be verified. And I want you to be able to verify what I'm saying. In the end, I'll just ask you this much. When a story comes out, I'm not asking you not to investigate Public Works. Please do. Please do. Yesterday, only a few persons were told that I would appear here today. And yet, somehow last night, it was on one of the talk shows pages that I will be here today. So yes, there are people at the Ministry of Public Works who, if you call them on the side to get information, ask them. We're doing everything we can so that every dollar that is spent at the Ministry of Public Works goes as far as is possible. When these kinds of stories come up, I'm in my 30s. God help me with long life. A greater portion of my life is ahead of me. As are a lot of other people in the ministry. The idea, for no reason and on no basis, to destroy a person's reputation. What else do I have after I leave that ministry? I have nothing else but my reputation. And I have to guard it. And so when people make frivolous claims, the need for me to be able to come there. One time the president went to my office. I was not at work. I was not sitting at my desk. I was in Watanga looking to see if I can connect Doe community to Claratown. The president called after 9 o'clock. I've already finished with my senior staff meeting. Where are you? I'm in the field. It appeared on a talk show. Gyude Moore go to work on time. The president going to his office. He's not there. Julius Jet, and to give him the credit from Fabric, called me. Minister, what's going on? I explained to him, and he posted it, and that story died. We're calling on the press to sometimes be able to take responsibility for this. There are lots of credible press organizations here. We shouldn't be confusing them with gossip organization or something somebody running from a bedroom. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today.